Hello and welcome to B2B with Ross and Bella. I'm Bella.
I'm Ross. And today we're going B2B with, I would say, a rising star in the Miami music scene. He's hot off his first main stage appearance at a festival, just released his second original single. He's playing clubs all around Miami like M2, Mode, Live, and many more. And I personally think he's primed and ready to explode as a world touring DJ. So Benjamin Lloyd, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. That was good research. I like that.
Yeah, we got all the research. We're primed and ready. Yeah.
Love it.
So the first time I met you, or I guess the first time I heard of you, saw you online, whatever, was through your hat making business, side hustle, whatever you call it. Well, first off, you make some unbelievably sick hats. I want one really badly.
He was a fan of yours, like a literal fanboy. We saw you in public. He's like, I think that's Ben Lloyd, the guy that makes the hat.
I truly was.
That's actually.
I'm trying to think.
True.
So, all right. So you said we met at Osaka.
I knew of you. I truly was a fan of your hat work, and I saw you coming to Osaka, and I introduced myself.
Ross
I was like,
met
hey.
you. You don't remember me.
No, I think.
He was
Maybe
a stranger.
I used to go there all the time. I used to serial date at Osaka. Like I would go
pickup spot.
I would go like 3 nights in a row sometimes, and they would see me like this guy's in a different hat every night at Osaka with a different girl.
Yo.
And they loved me there, and like I would always go back there.
Sort of circling back though, what got you into the hat making business? I know you're sort of like retired from it now.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you get into being a hatter?
Okay, so the reason I got into making hats was I took a trip to Aspen.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say this is in 2020. It was during COVID, and I took a trip there, and everyone there wears Kimosabe hats.
Everybody.
Yeah, have you guys been?
I have one. Yeah.
Okay.
Ross has one. I have seen it. I feel like.
Have you been to Aspen?
I
Yeah.
have not. He
Okay.
goes all the time.
I've been 7 or 8 times now. Yeah.
Okay, so obviously everyone there wears them.
Yeah.
It's sick.
They're so sick.
And there was nothing. So I went during X Games, and that year they purposely shut down all indoor dining because they didn't want during that week because they didn't want a lot of tourists to come in for the X Games.
Mm-hmm.
So there was actually nothing to do there because you couldn't. Nightlife was already shut down, but now indoor dining is shut down that week. So the only thing there was to do was like hang out in Kimosabe, and there were
At the hat shop.
yeah, and there were like a bunch of like young girls that were working there and doing like helping you design the hat, and it was just fun to hang out there. I was with like one of my buddies, and it was fun to hang out there and just like build my hat. So I was like, this is sick. And at the time, I owned a bunch of e-commerce brands, and I had a fulfillment center as well in Boston, a warehouse, and we did all the shipping for e-commerce brands as well as I had a bunch myself.
Right.
And I wanted to be the face of something, and I didn't know if it was going to be like a clothing company. And when I went there, I was like, wait, this is so unique and different. Like this would be sick. Like, why don't I just do this? And that night I bought 2 hats, and I went back and I went on my computer. I did like all the research, like where the fur comes from.
Yeah.
It's like all beaver fur.
Yep.
And it came from the Ukraine. And I bought a bunch of tools as well from overseas, like Europe. A lot of the stuff is it's like antique tools.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff is like reused over years and years. These tools, these wooden hat blocks that you mold the hats over.
It takes like serious craftsmanship. To like actually do this stuff.
And it takes like a lot of digging to find these tools and stuff. And there weren't any videos at the time of people really making them. There was this one guy, Nick Fouquet, who's there's also a store in Aspen for Nick Fouquet.
Okay.
He makes some of the best ones. I think they're much better than Kimosabe's hats. Just the design and the art that he puts into them are amazing.
I mean, your hats rival Kimosabe, and I think they're literally even sicker than Kimosabe. They have like your unique artistic spin on them, and like you take them in so many different directions. Like I've seen the ones you painted on, and like there's little attachments on them and shit. Like they're so sick.
So I don't think Kimosabe does more like generic stuff,
right?
And basic with like a little like leather strap or like a bow tie or something. And then like Nick Fouquet and like or myself, we're doing like a lot of like crazier like burns and like different like designs on them. They're definitely more customized.
Right.
So I acquired basically all the tools over probably 2 months. It probably took me to get everything just because a lot of it was custom made and took just a while to find out where to get them from. But then I decided to drive out to Palm Springs or like where Coachella Valley. And I stayed I got a place like on a golf course there. It was a beautiful spot.
PGA courses.
Yeah, it was on one of the PGA courses. And I was there with my girlfriend at the time and one of my roommates from Boston. We all drove out there. I drove out there with all my tools, and I was like, all right, for 6 weeks, I'm just going to learn how to make hats.
Wow.
And I didn't know how to sew or anything then, and I didn't have a TikTok yet, but I made a TikTok on like the third day I was there, and it was the first hat I ever made, and the TikTok that I made for that hat went viral.
Wow.
On my page.
How does this happen?
I had 0 followers. It was nuts.
Like,
That's why it literally, they love fresh accounts on TikTok.
And it's just like no one was making hats online then, and making videos of that. And mine probably got like maybe like 2 million views, but there's company it's Unilad. They asked to repost it, and they posted it on Facebook, and theirs on Facebook got like 20 million views.
Wow.
Stuff on Facebook goes like beyond the viral.
So, and I was looking at all their videos, and like they would get like a couple million views on their videos, but mine was like one of the biggest they've ever posted on their page. So I made a website that night, and I woke up the next morning to like, it took me a while. I had to like email back people custom orders and like put their order in. Right. But from that one post they posted, over the next like 3 days, I had over $15,000 of hat orders.
Holy
and at the
shit.
time, I was selling them for like $400.
Wow.
They ended up going up to like $1,200.
Yeah.
But
it would take you like,
it took like
months.
Yeah. So that took me about a month to get through all those orders. But I was like, wow. And like in a couple days, I just made $15,000 off something I don't even know how to do.
That
and
is
I'm like,
insane.
all right, I'm going to run with this.
And so as a side hustle at that point, did it turn into like your main source of income, your main business at that point, or?
So I had my other company, and that was doing very well. It put me in a very good
e-commerce company.
Yeah, it put me in a good like situation, just like in life, to like save up a lot of money. And I really wanted the hats to be like, it's what I love to do, and it was so much fun, and it was like therapy for me. It was just like creating art every day, and it was great. And for a year and a half, it was like the only thing I did. It was my only income, my full-time income, and it was definitely enough to live off of. Yeah. But I did want more, and to become like, to make $1 million a year off making hats is really hard.
Like
you got to make
3
hats a day. Like you would have to sell 3 hats at like $1,200 a piece to make $1 million.
Yeah.
And it was a good week for me. I would sell like 5 to 7 hats. Wow. Like that was that would be a good week. But it would also be that would be like a hard week to get those orders out. It was very hard to keep up with it. So it was very hard to like break that. If you wanted to make even just a couple $100,000 a year, it's hard.
I saw you were even like making them for celebrities like Mitch Marner from the Leafs, right? The hockey player, Diplo. How did they get in contact with you? Or was it more like, let me plug you with a hat and get some like advertising from it or marketing from it?
So for Mitch, one of his buddies reached out on Instagram, and he bought a hat for Mitch for his birthday.
Sick.
I believe. And then Mitch loved the hat, and then he asked to just keep on getting some. I think I made probably like 3 or 4, and then I made some for his family members. Diplo was wearing a hat. Someone was wearing my hat to Club Space, and Diplo, I think, took it off that person's head, or that person put it on Diplo's head and was wearing it during his set. Yeah. And I responded to its story, and I was like, that's my hat. Like, let me just make you one. What size are you? And then he sent me his size, and then he sent me his address, and then I sent him a hat. And, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Last topic on the hat. I was watching one of your previous podcasts, and I learned a pretty fun fact about you, which I can relate to, and I'm actually super stoked to say it. We have the same size head, and it's a small head. Like, you can ask Bella. I like almost brag about my small head.
Really?
It's a small head. Like, not many hats fit this size head, dude. Like a new era, any fitted hat does not. It just doesn't work.
It's actually not that small, because the average male size is like 7 3/8.
Okay.
Honestly, like most guys were doing like a 7 1/4, 7 3/8. There were some really big heads that I did. It was like, I would do like, that equates to a 57 centimeter.
Okay.
There were some people who would do like 63 centimeter heads. Like 6 centimeters is like
big brain
that's
cranium.
Like 2.5 inches bigger almost.
Dome.
And when you put that like on a head size, like that's like probably like that big.
Wow.
It's like, it's so hard to make a hat 63 centimeters. You have to stretch that thing so much. And I hated it. It was like hard to make the shape. Like it was hard to make it look nice.
Yeah.
And those were the toughest ones.
So did you actually hang up the hat because you were not seeing like as much revenue from it as you wanted, or
no,
busy with other things?
Revenue was always good. I was always too busy to handle.
Mm-hmm.
It was more so I've always been like an entertainer for so long. I used to, you guys probably did your research. Like I used to be like a little pop star back in the day.
I saw.
And I love to entertain, and I love to throw events and just like to bring people together. So when that came about, it got to the point where I was too busy to do both, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go all in on one thing. And a lot of my life I've had my hands in so many different baskets, and I feel like once I focus in and dial in on just one thing, I think that'll be it.
That's
I needed to do that because it was just so hard. It's so hard to have your hands in everything, where I'm like half-assing 4 different things.
Yeah.
Now I can just be like, all right, one
So
thing.
is DJing that thing for you now?
Yeah.
You're going full force.
Yeah. And now within DJing, there's other things where I do have Lionheart, which is my basically I want to become a festival, and
nice.
that's where I throw my own shows.
Right.
And it won't always be me DJing it. Eventually it'll be other people, and I'll throw the show. So that's like one sector of it. And then obviously there's the producing side, and then there's the actual DJing side. So there's like other smaller groups inside under the umbrella of DJing. So it's still like working multiple jobs. But
so Lionheart is like your event curation company, right? Sort of like the umbrella that you're able to put on shows through. I wanted to give you props because like one thing I think you're really good at is you have like the data harvesting piece down pat, dude. And like anytime you're promoting a show, you're putting on a show, I always get a text, and I know like how valuable data is in the current environment. It's essentially everything. Like, how did you know to do that, or what tool do you even use to like gather all of that data from everybody?
So like right from the jump, I always knew this stuff just because I used to do my other shows back when I was like 16 to 19. So I always knew that the data is so powerful. If you can retarget those people that have come and seen you at a past event, like that is huge. So I was always on top of that, and I want to take credit for it in Miami because I started using Posh, and like so many people started doing the free RSVP stuff after me, which is fine, and it works. But I feel like I did use that first, which is great, which is fine. But it is very important because, well, so I think the most important thing was actually me getting denied by so many venues. It forced me to do what I did and start my own event. And I would just go into venues, and it's funny because I actually went to Mode, and I'm so close with the guys at Mode now. I love them. They're like family to me. They treat me so well. Shout out to Mode. I went in there because they wouldn't let me have a show there. And I said, okay, what's your like average night? And they told me a number, and I went in there and I said, okay, I'll give you a guarantee of a number. It was like 3,000 or 4,000 higher than their average like really good night. And I said, I'll guarantee you that. And I gave them a $5,000 cash deposit, and they like laughed at me. They're like, wow, okay. Like you like,
You're serious?
And I gave them deposit. I was like, you can hold this until the show. And if I don't hit that number, then you keep the money. But if I do hit it, then I want this percent of bar and door. And we had a great agreement, and it worked. And I remember we went like $10,000 over the guarantee.
Wow.
And then we were like, all right, this is sick. And
That's so cool.
It is. And you're taking that approach to like other clubs that you're playing at, other venues, is like the revenue split side of things, or you're trying to get the revenue split?
No, for the most part, it's always like that. Unless I get booked out for a show.
Right. Then you're just going to
Then I'm just like getting my DJ rate. But when I'm throwing the event, then it's always a partnership, revenue split.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's the way you have to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I want to go back to you being a pop star. Was it the type of thing where, like, from a very young age, as a child, you knew you wanted to be a singer, star?
No,
something?
honestly, I didn't. I used to watch. Where are you guys from?
Buffalo, both of us in New York.
Okay, I played in Buffalo actually.
Really?
Yeah, with Caitlin and Miles. I don't know if you know them. Time Flies. You know Time Flies?
That sounds a lot more familiar.
Okay. I did their Syracuse. I opened for them in Syracuse actually. Time Flies. So Time Flies Tuesday. Do you remember them? No.
I remember Time Flies.
Okay. I used to watch their touring videos, and it was always Cal as the singer, and he'd be on stage. It was like 2,000 girls, like super hot. I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to be like him. Like that was sick. So I actually suck at singing, but I was great with auto-tune, I guess.
Yeah.
And or maybe I wasn't great, but I was great at marketing myself, I guess, and making it seem like.
Seems like the common trend here.
I think I was good at. So I suck at singing, but I was like able to make songs that were good enough, and I was good at marketing, and I think I was good with connecting to like the little fangirls at the time, and making it seem like I was good at like holding myself as like a star and like making
It feel that way.
Yeah. And I just built.
It's like a video of you with like so many people. They're like yelling, "Ben."
Yeah, no, like
what's going on?
That's how it was, and it was actually crazy how it all like kind of happened. And I always think back to it, and I always tell a story to people every time I meet new people, how like kind of all just like snowballed effect into that, because it's always like the main first like hurdle to get to that like spot of like how do you become like a star or make it seem like you're a star without being cheesy or conceited, but like it just happened somehow.
So I'm curious though, how did you do it back before social media? I mean, we had social media, but it wasn't what it is today, where you can go viral overnight and then suddenly things are totally different. How did you know how to market yourself at age 16?
I just posted this really awful song out of nowhere. No one knew that I like made music or anything, which I really didn't. But I just posted it, and no one was making music at the time. Now, like I think everyone is a SoundCloud rapper.
Yeah.
I'm a SoundCloud rapper.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm gonna have to show you my tracks
Yeah.
later.
So like,
if Ross ever gets drunk, his favorite thing to do is say, "You guys want to hear my rap?"
Well, freestyle, of course, but like playing
so cringe.
Playing the raps
great.
for others is definitely a pastime
That's
of
amazing.
mine.
His favorite hobby.
So, I guess I just put out this song, and I was popular in my school and like surrounding towns, but nothing crazy. And I just put it out, and for some reason there were girls in the town next to me that made fan accounts of me, and it made it so much cooler. And then it just snowballed effect. And I remember at the time, like, do you remember when it was you got like 12 likes on Instagram?
Yeah, and that was.
And it would show, like, once you hit it, it would show that you got 12 likes, or so and so and 12 others likes your photo.
Yeah.
It was like during that time. And I remember I posted that photo of the first song, and I got maybe 300 likes on it,
which is a lot.
Yeah, it was so much. I was like, wow, that's insane. And then I remember I gained 1,000 followers in the first week.
Wow.
Which at the time people had like 100, 200 followers.
Yeah. This is just from one song you
released
in high school.
So it was just like hype, and I got a lot of shit for it, for sure.
Of course.
And a lot of people were following me to just check out like how bad it was, probably. But it just worked, and then I just kept on going with it. And then from there, I got reached out to open for this tour. It was all those binary guys, which I didn't do any of that stuff, but it was people like Shawn Mendes and like Cameron Dallas, Nash Greer, and all of those type of people. And I used to open up for their tours, and they probably, some of them don't know who I am, some of them do. But I would just do those shows, and it just snowballed from there. And I would do my own headlining shows. And
how many people were you like opening up for? Like, what do you think the crowd size was?
Some of them were
then?
like 2,500 people.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, and it was almost my senior year. It turned into almost like every single weekend. I was somewhere else.
And was that bringing in a lot of money for you back, like as a kid?
Yeah, when I would do a headlining show, I remember my first time getting like a $5,000 check for a show, and I was like, "This is sick." And I did 3 in a row in that weekend.
Wow.
And I was like, "Wow!" I remember that weekend I came home, it was like $12,000.
Yeah, in high school, dude, that's like $12,000 in high school is like 50 to 100K these days. Like as an adult.
Yeah, because I was making $8 an hour at American Eagle. I loved it though.
It looked like you would be an Abercrombie guy all day.
I begged for that job at American Eagle. You have no idea.
You're like, but did you see my music? Like, let me
No, at the time
here.
I didn't make music, but I wanted to work there because that's where all the hot girls would go.
Yeah.
And
I'm
like,
sensing a theme here.
Couple themes.
The hot girls are what's guiding you through life.
that's what got me. It wasn't money. It was like I loved it. Yeah, I just wanted to be around. Like, where are they?
Dude, I want to touch on one other thing you said, right? Like you said, yeah, your music was cringy, it was cheesy. I feel like anytime you start a new endeavor in the creative space, like it's gonna come across that way to certain people. Like, others are gonna look and they're gonna say whatever, but like you just have to want to do it and like stay consistent with it, which I feel like you've definitely done throughout all your things. Like
faced a lot of rejection, or has a thing for the most part pretty much like happened quite easily for you?
Okay, so I think I just didn't take the rejection. Yeah, I feel like you only face rejection if you let it affect you. Because there was always a lot of back then there was always a lot of hate, but I never let it bother me because there was always so much good out of it, and I had so many supportive people on top of that. So I never really I never understood it, or because there were like people that would make. Literally, I'd get death threats in the mail.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Just as a high schooler.
Yeah, which was pretty wild.
They were definitely jealous because you were getting the bitches and $12,000.
Yeah. But it never fazed me. I was never scared. I was never, I don't know. I always just was like, oh no, this is sick. Like, I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And I wasn't ever, I don't think I was ever conceited at all, but it was just, I just never bothered me. I always was like, no, this is so worth it. I'll take the hate all the time, but like, my life is so cool.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, so I don't think the rejection really, I didn't really have enough or I never let it bother me. And I think now, which is one crazy thing, is I don't think I've really dealt with that much rejection in like DJing, in the sense of, yes, I have like been rejected from like many venues, but I would just find a solution to go around it. And it made it better for myself. And I've actually I feel like I've had so much support with the DJing thing now in the last year and a half, because it's only been a year and a half. Yeah. Which is really crazy to think about. But it's I just have such a good friend group here. And we have a lot of mutual friends, but we're not really in the same close friend group. Right. But it's everyone here knows everyone's here is friends with each other. Everyone wants the same thing. Everyone wants to go out, meet people, have a good time. And there's no other city that I've lived in, because I lived in LA, Boston, here. They just don't compare. And I spent a lot of time in New York as well. They just don't compare to what Miami has, and everyone here just wants to have a good time and be friends with everyone. Yeah. In our house parties, it's like open door. Everyone's welcome, and you know everyone there. And I've never really dealt with people like, oh, like, this person can't come, or like these people aren't allowed.
It's a lot of like support in the city, and just easy to, you meet one person, then they introduce your friends, then all of a sudden you're all a big group of friends, and like the support that comes from that is really good. I think there's like a big network.
There are
in this world.
And like you would think as an outsider looking into Miami that's not the way it would be. You'd think that would be exclusive, filled with douchebags, filled with people who want to stay exclusive, but it really hasn't been, from my experience, from probably all of our experiences.
Yeah.
So how did you actually get into house music? From your pop days to your hat days to your DJ days.
I went to Ultra Music Festival my ex-girlfriend took me, who's now my best friend ever.
That's cool.
She lives here. She brought me to Ultra in 2018. I lived down here for 6 months. I did a semester during college down here at FIU, and she brought me to Ultra, and I remember getting the 3-day pass, and was like 3 days of going to like this music that I don't know, like what am I gonna do? And I went there, and I tried my first experience there, and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever done. This is so cool. Yeah. And she like made sure I was good the whole time, and I was like, I've been missing this my whole life. And I remember seeing people that were so weird there, but they were like themselves. And And there were probably people that like made fun of in school, but I was like, they're so happy here. And maybe like in school they're like so shy and like they're like not themselves.
And
but here they were just themselves. And I was like, I love like seeing people so happy here.
Yeah.
And they definitely are like out there in the regular world, because it is a different world in the music game. But I was like, this is so great to see people this happy and be themselves. So that's where it started for me. And I instantly went home, bought a DJ deck, and I was playing such different EDM music, like big room stuff.
Yeah.
And from there, then during COVID, we would throw these sick house parties at the house I had with my roommates. And there would be like 100 people show up, and we had this really cool room that we just turned into this music room, and everyone would come down there. We'd have the best COVID parties. That's where like the DJing started, but it was all just at the house parties we would throw during COVID. And it wasn't until, and that was in Boston, and it wasn't until we came down here and my friend Danny asked me to, actually he didn't even know I knew anything about DJing, but he was like, hey, I'm gonna throw a party on this this hotel rooftop. Do you want to come and just bring your friends? And he DJ'd it, and I would just bring my friends. Like, all right, this is great. I can get paid to drink. And he went to the bathroom one time, and I hopped on. He's like, oh, I didn't know you could play. Like, why don't you just play for an hour? And I was like, all right, sick. And it just kind of just went from there. And that's where it snowball affected from.
Right. I feel like everybody starts with like you said, that big room electronic EDM, and like everybody slowly like finds their way into like deep cut house that's just like the best shit ever.
Yeah.
It took me, like, I would love bass music, love banging my head around and like having fun, raging and stuff, and then like slowly but surely a couple years later, all of a sudden it's like Pausa and like deep house is like the shit that I like.
It's funny how you could walk into a room or 2 years ago I could walk into a room and I could hear minimal tech being played, and I would be like, what is this? Like, I hate this.
Yeah.
Right.
And then finally it just grows on you and you understand it. And you're like, oh, I understand this now.
Right.
Which is weird. Like, I don't know what the breaking point was to understanding it, but it's just like a full journey that you have to like.
It really is a journey, because like even just day to day, like listening, I feel like I used to say I like this music only in a party atmosphere. Like, I like going out and dancing to this, but I would never listen to this just during the day. And now I'm driving, I'm like listening to just like the most minimal shit. And I'm like, this is so interesting, because I think your taste evolves over time. What is your favorite genre?
My favorite music to listen to, I personally, even to play as well, is I want to feel emotion. So I really like Gorgon City a lot, Camel Fat, Yodo. I want to go for a ride, and I want to feel like, I definitely like lyrics as well in there, because I just want to feel. I want to feel something.
I love me some lyrics.
We just went to Camel Fat's closing party in Ibiza at Pacha.
So sick.
Dude, we like drifted away from Camel Fat. I like knew that they were fire. I knew that they were great DJs. I just hadn't seen them in years.
Yeah.
This was one of the best sets we've seen ever, dude.
So
it was
unreal.
Mind blowing.
It was so unreal. And like, we definitely had underestimated
We
them.
did.
It wasn't even that. I think we just were like, Camel Fat, like, I don't know. And then now I am a stan.
Huge stan.
So I went twice to Camel Fat in Ibiza this summer. I was there for like about 3 weeks.
Okay.
And in my opinion, I thought Camel Fat set the tone for the entire island this summer with their movement of music. They had their album, Spiritual Milk, I believe, come out this past spring, I believe, or maybe it was winter. I don't know when it was. But they had all the remixes come out, and it was very Afro melodic, progressive melodic influence. And I felt that the whole island was like kind of playing that this year compared to other years. And it just was really, really cool this year. It was very special. I liked where the direction they went, because normally they're like progressive house, progressive melodic house. But this year they had like that Afro influence in their stuff. It was awesome. And Pacha, that room,
Oh my God.
it never ends.
Dude,
No,
it doesn't
it's-
end.
I found myself in the
energy.
bathroom for 2 hours having the best time. You know, the bathroom with like the big,
I don't think we ever made it. We were
Oh, it's
having
all
a
red.
blast. We were just
just
having
sitting on a couch in the bathroom.
I never made it to the bathroom.
Yes, we have pictures in the bathroom together. You clearly.
What's the statue in that bathroom? What is it again? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have pictures.
The all red. It's like all red in there.
Well, are there multiple? I'm sure there's multiple.
There's like a hidden
bathrooms.
bathroom.
But there's a co-ed bathroom where like we were
Yes.
literally talking to random guys and girls
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
taking
true.
pictures in the bathroom.
Yeah.
That must be the one because there's like there's some statue in there. I forget what it is of. Is it a middle finger maybe or something?
I'll
like
have to find it on my phone, but yeah, Pacha is a sick club.
It
I
is-
love Pacha.
It just never ends. It just keeps on going. It's like a maze, and then there's like the secret garden. And the
Yeah.
crazy part is it's so there's like a huge noise ordinance in Ibiza after midnight,
Which
and
is
you can't hear
insane.
any of the music, not even the bass from the outside.
Yeah.
They do such a good job of soundproofing that place. And it's funny, the secret garden outside is so quiet, but the floor has like the little lights in it and it like blinds you. And it's like whoever built that venue, they must be professional drug takers because they designed it so well for anyone who's
Yeah.
doing anything to just like perfectly be placed. Like there's like a bench here. It's like,
This
oh,
is
like
where
I
I'm meant to be.
perfectly like took 10 steps and I
The
wanted
bench.
to sit there.
You're like, oh, I've been looking for you my whole life.
It's just like
This was
whoever
there
designed
for
it
me.
it's insane. Did you do that the high bathroom?
we
We
had
didn't
last
make it to
summer.
high, but
Oh, you
we
didn't
have
do
been
it.
in the past.
That bathroom, I
You need to
I
stop
want
there.
to build that in Miami. We need that. That bathroom is the coolest place in the world.
know.
Everyone is so happy in that bathroom.
Yeah.
I just
in the s-
don't know how I feel about like I'm partying and then right across the door someone's like taking a shit. Like
So convenient. Like there's no rules in that bathroom. Like there's just stalls
Anything
attached to the
goes.
dance floor.
Yeah.
Anyone can go into any stall. There's no rules. It's wild. And it's just the sound system is so good and it's just so like it's so intimate.
You were talking about like Afro infused melodic techno and stuff. Like I feel like I would the tracks you've been releasing, I would say fall into that genre. Would you agree?
Yeah, if I could be a mix of anyone, it would definitely be the Camel Fat, Gorgon City, and like the Yodo.
Yeah.
I love just what they do. I always watch like how they're making their stuff. So a lot of my new stuff coming out as well is I do like a lot of Afterlife stuff. Some of it I don't want to go too down that road with like too melodic tech, but I like the melodic tech influences, and I like all the Afterlife stuff, but I don't want to go too much into that. So I
Yeah.
like to keep it a little bit more friendly as well. So yeah, it's definitely that. If I could put 3 hours together, it would be like
cool.
Camel Fat,
It's a good combo.
Gorgon, and Yodo.
Yeah.
I love them.
I like that combo.
It is a great combo. And I wanted to give you props. Like you only have 2 singles out. The one has like a ton of fucking streams, man. That's like really, those are impressive ass numbers. So congrats. And like,
Thanks.
it seems like a lot of the hard work's paying off and shit. How is the producing grind? Do you find
It's-
yourself like lost at times? And
So I feel like I'm kind of weird with producing. Is a lot of people are doing it. They're doing it. Everyone says like do it every day, which I agree, and that's how you're gonna get better. But for me, what works best is whenever I feel inspired, I'm instantly like I need to go home and just do it, and it'll just come to me, and like the song will come within 2 hours. It's quick. I'm not forcing myself to make music because I feel like when you force yourself to make music, it doesn't come the same.
Right.
And for me, it's just like always when I'm feeling inspired, I'm like, okay, right now I feel good. I'm staying in tonight, and this is what I'm gonna do.
Right.
But I don't ever like to force it.
Yeah.
So that's been what's
With-
worked best for me.
Production in general, like, is this another thing that you just taught yourself? You were like, I'm gonna produce, and then you did it the next day.
Yeah, I took some like there's a lot of just honestly like YouTube tutorials.
Online.
I bought a bunch of like classes and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But for the most part, I spent so much money on these classes, but then you just end up being like, all right, I'm just gonna do this, and
Yeah.
you just learn as you go.
Yeah.
And the more you work with other people, you learn just little shortcuts, and you
Mhm.
always learn something from somebody, even if they're not knowledgeable about Ableton. You're gonna always learn something that they do, like whether it's like just the smallest little shortcut will
Yeah.
Yeah.
save you time, and you'll just be like, wow, I can't believe
yeah.
you can do something so easy. Like, why didn't I
Right.
think about looking
Right.
that up?
Yeah.
So
it's
yeah.
funny, like we were talking to Rorden the other day, right, a top 100 producer for this year, and he said the same thing. He taught himself just on YouTube tutorials, which is wild that you could go from YouTube tutorial to literally being one of the best producers in the fucking world right now.
What's cool about him, so this is what Bobby told me, and Bobby's boys with him. Bobby said his dad helps him find all his samples, which is sick. That's such a cool relationship.
I know.
Yeah.
And I actually, so when I was at Amnesia, I went to his show and I met his dad with Bobby. Actually, so cool that his dad's finding his samples for him, and he uses a lot of really cool samples.
Yeah, he uses like the throwbacks and stuff. We've had a time with Rory's dad. His dad's a riot for sure.
You recently played the main stage at We Belong Here in Central Park. Was it at Central Park?
Central Park. It was.
Oh, I didn't
How
know
was
that.
that? What was that like for you?
That was awesome. All the team at We Belong Here, they're so amazing. I love everyone there is so welcoming, and especially Charles. He really like believed in me so early on, and I don't know what it was, but he always was just like, I love like what you're doing and everything, and I love everyone there. They're all so great to me, and that was great that I was so appreciative that they put me onto that. And now like we can just start growing and doing more together. So that was a really cool opportunity to do that. And obviously it was earlier in the day. There weren't that many people there, which is fine because it's like you get on the lineup, add it to the resume, and then next year it'll be moved up.
Exactly.
In Miami, it's gonna be here in the spring. I'm sure I'll be doing probably main stage there. We might be doing some other stuff as well that I can't talk about with them. So yeah, so it was really cool to do that, and I feel like now I'm more moving into doing more music based events rather than just like throwing my own. It's like now the thing that needs to change, and I think the last thing to like really to battle like that upward curve to like really like take off is my own music needs to start being played by and recognized by other DJs,
Right.
and then to just like get on the same billboard as the other or the headliners, to be on the same like stage as them and be respected by the other DJs. And that's really where I think like the last like bit, because the hardest part is that, but also to actually be able to sell tickets to events and bring people out is something that is so difficult, because even people that have a lot of music out and their music does well, they still can't sell tickets to events or their shows, which is huge. So like half the battle is doing that. So like I have that part down. Now I just need to to get the original music.
So do you have your eyes set on maybe a tour?
No, this coming year, my goal is to really like, I need to break through in I want to start playing in. So I played in Dallas before, but I want to like solidify a good venue in Dallas, Austin, Chicago. I need a good one in LA, Vegas, and I just want to break through in those cities as well as the ones I'm already doing, because that'll give me a good rotation where I don't want to always be playing in Miami, Boston, New York.
Right.
I need to break it up more. And
why those cities? Do you feel like those cities have the best like scene right now, or
they have a house
scenes?
Market?
Right.
It's actually kind of funny. Like the more you think about it, the markets for house music, it's pretty small. It's not small, but there's certain cities that just have it and some don't.
Yeah.
Boston like really isn't the best house music scene. Like I didn't grow up listening to house music.
Yeah, Buffalo's not either at all.
Yeah, and there's not that many. There's a lot of clubs there, but they're playing. It's more mainstream, top 40 remixes, and that's not. And I go up there and I play, and it's fun, but some of the places I play up there, it's not what I want, and it's people are going out there to like socially drink and be out.
Yeah. They're not there.
They're not there necessarily for the music.
Yeah.
So some cities are just like that, and yeah. So I want to be more in the cities that people are there for the music.
Yeah. I think it's changing though in general. Like I think house music used to be a little bit more edgy, if you will, and like I feel like it's becoming more and more mainstream. It feels like by the month, like people are starting to recognize artists who used to be like a lot more low key or edgy or whatever, and now like those are some of the largest tracks in the country right now.
What I think is like so interesting is that when you look at DJs like John Summit, for instance, right? He was super underground until he wasn't, and then he's huge and kind of wishing he could
Battling
go
to
back
be
and get in front of like the crowds that are there for the music. So I feel like it's interesting when you see the goal for most DJs, right, is to get to that level, to get to that status, to bring in the money that he's bringing in. But then you still want to preserve the crowds that are there for the music, not the crowds that are like with their phone in your face, which is what everyone's been talking about recently with like kind music and stuff. So it's interesting, the like duality, the balance, of that. And
yeah, it's tough. Yeah, watching his whole journey is crazy because now he's just doing all his own expert only shows, and recently in the last like 4 months he's not doing any of the clubs anymore, and he's being very selective with what he does because he's throwing just massive events and he's being very exclusive. So like we haven't even seen him on. He's not on any space lineup.
No, I was shocked. I thought he was gonna be like the opening artist.
No, because he's probably gonna do
an expert only night,
or he's probably gonna do Kaseya. Now it's not FTX
Holy
anymore.
Fuck, dude,
he's probably gonna do that. So he's got to be exclusive and people can't see him for a while in Miami because he was playing like once a month there.
Yeah.
So if he wants to sell out a 15,000 person venue, then he's gonna have to not play here for a while. And I always do see it. Yeah, he's like his tweets about how he wants to go back to the other stuff. But if you want to be an A-list celebrity, you need to be able to sell to mass people, and that's what sells to mass people. And I hate when people, like, so many people are like, oh, he's a sellout. Not at all. He's being super smart. He's
I mean, he's literally done everything right.
Like, he's like absolutely crushing it. He's not a sellout at all because he's making music for the mass. Like, that's not true at all. And honestly, like people call him a sellout because it resonates with so many people, and people that aren't a sellout it's more underground music that like you have to like kind of know where to get this music from. You have to dive deep for the music, but his music touches so many people.
Yeah. He's not a sellout at all. Like, we've had cool opportunities to sort of like observe him behind the scenes, backstage, like when he's off the stage, and like he's a perfectionist, dude. Like if one small thing goes wrong, it's a big issue to him because of the fact that I feel like he's so invested in himself, he's so invested in the shows that if like any tiny little thing goes wrong, it's a big issue, which makes a lot of sense. Very understandable.
I went to his show my favorite show of his that I went to was at the Caverns in Tennessee.
That was so cool. We had some.
Did you go both nights?
We went one night. So I was actually there for a show in Nashville. Like 30 of us went from Miami. This is back in April, and the show it was a private party. Who now I became super close friends with, the guy who threw the party. So it was on a Saturday, and we all went out there on a Thursday. 30 of us from Miami, and on Friday he added the show after like, we were already going. So we're like, all right, let's take a party bus out to the Caverns, like 2 hours from Nashville. And we did that. And it was so cool there because that was my first festival that I went to that was had camping at it. So you get to see all like the different types of people. Like it's very Wookiee and like that type.
The creatures.
Yeah, but they were so cool. And I liked how it wasn't exclusive there. There was barely a little small like VIP section, but it's not like Miami where you're going out and there's a huge VIP section and a huge table section. If you're not at the table, like you don't feel like you're cool. You're getting pushed around at all these spots. But there, it's like everyone's in the crowd, and it's really cool how people are just there and camping out. And there's the Renegades going on, like random people are showing up, bringing their own sound systems and playing sick parties in the parking lot. So it's a really cool vibe, and that was my first time seeing that. So I really liked that a lot. And then it was really cool how he had the main stage and then the after party in the cave. The cave is crazy.
Yeah.
How is the cave?
Videos look crazy.
So the cave is really cool, but the sound in there is really weird.
Like echoey?
It sounds like the speakers aren't even turned on. If you stand in some areas of the room, you get you don't feel the bass. You can barely hear the sound. It's so weird how it's possible. And then you stand in another part of the room and then you can feel everything. But it was really weird how it just didn't seem loud enough at all. And I'm like, all right, this is kind of weird. Like I can't even get in the vibe because I can't even hear the lyrics in the song because of how much it's like echoing out.
Yeah.
Speaking of loud sound, M2 here. Dude, the last time we went to M2, I had to tear up tissue paper. I'm a big earplug guy. I always wear them. I didn't have them that night. I had to tear up tissue paper, and I was just like shoving shit in my ears.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It was, I could feel it like inside of me. It was so loud.
I love M2.
It's so cool. The production there is wild.
I was shocked by M2. We went after, remember when Space did that thing on the beach?
The Space Beach.
It was so sick. We went there afterwards, and I had no idea what I
don't think we had ever heard of it.
I like didn't know about it, and I was like, "Whoa, this is not what I was expecting." Right, and they have great production there, like
crazy, like Ibiza level
totally
production.
Next level club that I was not expecting.
Yeah, because it's Saturdays are Resistance stage.
Right
there. So I actually did Resistance back in January with Mathame, and that was my first time doing like a really big stage venue with a really I did big stage. I opened for big people, but not on that level, like with that much production. And that was the first time they really they bring you in, they treat you amazing. There's someone with you the entire time, like taking care of your rider, making sure you're okay, making sure all the people that are with you are okay. That was the first time I felt like I got treated like a king. And I was like, that I want to be treated like that all the time.
Manager around and
no, it's so cool, and the production was so great. And I played 10 to 12, which is the opening set. So you're playing for a room that's starting off empty, and then it ends up filling up. There's probably the place fits maybe 2,000 people, but by the end of my set, maybe there was like 600 or so.
Yeah.
I like doing the opening sets. Obviously, I want to do more, but I like opening a set where, so for instance, when I opened for Dom Doll on 4th of July at Live, playing from 11 to 2:30. You go from a room with 0 people in it to a room with 1,500 people in it. I believe maybe even more for that show because it was completely sold out. And you build the room to what you want it to be because you're taking everyone on a complete like journey with you, which is the coolest thing. And sometimes just hopping on as the headliner isn't as good because you don't connect with the fans as much because somebody else built that room up for you.
Right.
Obviously, Dom Doll coming on, everyone's gonna be super pumped.
Yeah.
But like, there's something so special about building up the room and like turning it into like what you want it to because you really connect with everyone and you can like just see the front people in the crowd like how they're feeling and that's like the most special thing is I'd much rather do an opening set than a closing set because a lot of times the closing set people are just really
trying to get out of there.
They're really fucked up and on drugs and they're easy to control, but you don't connect as much with them as like doing the
That's
long
interesting.
Sets.
That's super interesting.
A lot of times I'll just do a show and I just go open to close because I love doing the whole thing. I get mode. I come on at 12:30. I play till 5 a.m. and you really connect with those people. The people that stay till the very end. At the end, they come up to you and they're just like they're looking at you. And one, they're like they're delusional because their ears are. You've been listening to music for now like 6 hours straight. Their ears are gone. So are mine. But you connect. You feel like you know the person so well because you just like gave them everything.
And they gave it back to you.
Yeah,
it's an exchange. It really is
crazy, and it's like this weird like exchange of like, okay, I might not see you again, but like that was great. Like thank you.
When you're DJing, like does time just fly, or does it get to a point? You know, when you're like at a desk job, you're looking at the clock, you're like, okay, 10 more minutes. But when you're DJing, are you kind of like getting tired, or do you just want to keep going all night?
No, I always want to keep going. And I said this, so last night I played a 6-hour set. And I always am like, we went to school for 6 hours and it felt like the longest in eternity. And there it goes by so quick. And I'm like, where did time go? I want to keep going. And it's closed and then the night's already over and I want more hours of the night. I don't want the sun to come up. So I'm not in bed yet, and I don't want to. Yeah, that's the hardest thing. If I don't go to bed before the sun comes up, then
that's how
then
we
the
feel,
day is
man.
ruined.
The next day is shot.
But
I actually like freak out if I see the sun. I'm like, we have to get home before the sun rises because that just sets off a whole.
We were in New York a couple weeks ago. We did a Mirage night, and like we were racing home to get home before the sun came up, and like we just made it. The sun was
my
coming
eye
up.
mask on, blinds down. I'm like,
It makes such a big difference for some reason. I don't know why, but like
no, it's
it makes a huge difference.
Your body responds to light. So like when you see light, your body's natural response is to like wake up and release whatever energizing hormones. And that's why I'm like, no, darkness only.
Yeah, that was me last night. And, but now we're getting into winter, so sun's like rising at maybe 7 o'clock now.
It's gonna get dark.
At one point it was like 5:45.
It's past 7. It's like 7:15.
Now it's good. We have some extra time.
It throws me off when it's dark so early because I just get so sleepy early.
Yeah.
I saw a common theme when I was looking through your Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually I saw 2 themes. One, you're like always surrounded by girls.
Mm-hmm.
In every picture there's literally 20 girls. And then the other theme was you often caption like, this was the best night of my life, or this was the best day of my life.
That's an inside joke.
Is every day the best day of your life?
Yeah, I continuously have the best day of my life all the time. I just keep on one-upping it.
I love that.
It happens every weekend. And I wish I could say I was lying. And I tell my friends all the time. I'll text in the group chat. We have a group chat. It's me and all my girlfriends. It's like 12 of them and me. And it's called the Sister Wives group chat. And I'll text in, and whoever didn't come, I said, you guys missed out on the best night of my life. And you said that last time. And I was like, it was the best time. I'm not lying. It's the best night of my life again. Yeah.
Okay, so are you single? What's your relationship status?
I am single. I like to have fun. I used to go on a lot of dates. I used to love like whining.
A serial dater?
I mean, I used to love whining and dining, and like I have a jet ski, a boat. Like it was pretty fun. It was great. So I could always do like a sunset, wholesome ride. I'm just giving them all away. But yeah, I actually enjoy doing a lot of wholesome stuff as well as like my life looks crazy, but I pride myself in knowing all the good hidden spots in Miami that a lot of people don't know. And there's so many people here.
Tell us some.
Yeah,
I'll give you guys. There's so many good ones. There's so many great spots. Like if you go to the state park in Key Biscayne, if you go to like Boaters,
Brandon?
There's the lighthouse there. There's Boaters. So there's a place called Boaters Cleat. Super cool spot to watch sunset.
I love that spot.
Great spot. You can go there by boat, or you can go there just by car. So hidden. Like hidden gem. There's a gazebo with a band there.
Oh, that's the rest. There's a restaurant,
the Cleat,
sort of bar.
Cleat.
Yeah, that spot's awesome.
I post it. Everyone always responds. Like 50 responds. Like, where is that?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's Miami.
Can't geotag it.
Yeah.
Gotta keep it a secret.
So there's those, and if you go to Little Havana, has a lot of hidden gems there. There's a place called Cafe La Trova. It was ranked the 20th best bar in the world.
Wow.
And it goes from a Cuban bar, and then at midnight it switches over to an 80s disco bar.
Wow.
And they play the best music in the back.
That's so fun.
So there's like a front room and there's a back room. Crazy spot. So wholesome. Like everyone there is going there to dance. No one's there going out to get super drunk and to like meet a significant other. Like you're going there to dance. Super cool spot. So there's a lot of like cool speakeasies and stuff all around Miami that a lot of people just don't go to and don't know about. Even in the Grove or even like Homestead, like you gotta like there's a lot to do in Miami that we just don't do.
Yeah.
Because there are so many things to do in Miami event wise. There's always something coming up every weekend. I feel like 2 weekends of the month are always taken up by. There's Art Basel. There's F1.
I know. Yeah. Those types of weekends like don't stop.
Bitcoin week.
Tech week.
And then every week that there is, music will like some music acts will just come in and like latch on to that because there's gonna be people in town and they'll throw a festival.
And then that's like all those weekends are to me now. Is just,
that's what they are now.
Not festival weekends, but they're just music weekends to me.
I've like never seen art during Art Basel.
I've never gone.
No, now it's just a DJ concert thing. It was
I've never
art.
gone to a single exhibit.
Yeah, it's just you just go to all the parties.
Yeah,
and it's just all revolves around music now.
Yeah,
which is funny.
You said that your ex-girlfriend is now your best friend.
Yeah,
which is definitely a rarity. Is there like a secret to making that work?
I don't know. I'm not a jealous person at all. So I become friends with every single person that she's ever talked to. It's funny. She's gonna watch this. I'm like, why are you saying this?
We can cut this out.
No. We can keep this in. I mean, I tell everyone every time I date somebody. She's like, you shouldn't tell them that like I'm your ex. I'm like, why? I'm like, I'm proud that you're my best friend. And she's like, all right, fine. But at the same time, it's. I mean, it doesn't matter. We dated so long ago, and I'm not a jealous person. And it's just great. Like our relationship is so cool, and a lot of people probably can't do that. But I feel like I have a good relationship with all of my exes.
That's good.
Like,
yeah, I feel like
I'm close with.
I think
something really bad happens. You should be amicable.
Yeah. I think that shows that you're probably a pretty good dude through and through. Like, if all of your exes hate you, there's probably a reason.
Yeah,
to
then
that.
You're the problem for sure.
Yeah,
we've all ended on like we're all friends with all of them. So
sweet.
Yeah.
So at what point in your career do you think you could take a step back, look at your career and be like, okay, I made it, or I'm happy with the position I'm in right now in my career? What do you think it's going to take for you to have that feeling?
I think that's a great question. I don't think there's ever going to be a specific like one thing. I mean, maybe if you sell out something like a crazy
Madison Square.
Okay, my first big achievement that I'll be like really happy about, I think, is once I get Space.
Yeah.
Playing at Space will be really big to be recognized by them in getting that opportunity. That would be like the first time I'm like, all right, this is great. And then from there, it's more so I haven't had like I've had people play my my remix that I did of the Akon.
Yeah,
the Akon
it's a good track.
Yeah, I love that.
I've had some big DJs play that on really big stages, but it's not. It's a remix of mine, but it's not an original. Yeah. So once I get a really big artist to play my originals, that's gonna be like a good moment. But I think like little moments will just keep on happening throughout the journey in the process, but it's not necessarily one time where I'm like, this is where I feel like I made it. Because once you get a taste of one thing, you're just gonna want to keep on going, and you just keep on getting want more, and then you're not satisfied with it in a good way. I always appreciate every moment, and I appreciate my friends and family so much for supporting and always coming out. Because without them, it's nothing. They make me look so good. Obviously, I need to provide and give them a good time and give everyone who comes a good time to keep on coming back. But without them, it's really nothing. Yeah. So I always tell them, like, I always give them my thanks. Like, I appreciate them so much. And every night is always a great stepping stone towards the bigger picture. But I don't think there's going to be one specific thing. But there's going to be there's a lot of like good milestones that I have that I'm excited to hit.
Really like you're taking the time to savor every single day and every single moment that you are able to have and achieve. So that's good. It's exciting. I think.
Congrats, man. And I think next time we do this, hopefully you can cross off that Space bucket list item.
Big things
I see it.
You have to manifest it.
Yeah.
I think it'll happen for sure in the next year. I next 6 months I think for sure.
Fuck yeah.
It has to.
We like to we are.
Thank you.
We like to wrap things up here at B2B with a little segment we call "What Are You Banging This Week?" So just one track that you've been playing nonstop. What would it be?
Oh my god. I've been playing Are You Feeling It Too by Gorgon City. It's the first song on their album.
Much. That is a beautiful song.
Are you
the key it just comes in. It's so nice.
Yeah.
That's been on repeat for me. And an old one that I just always play and I never get sick of it is Spectrum Camel Fat.
I'm adding it to my like tracks right now.
You don't know it?
I don't think so.
It's such an old one, but it's
I probably heard it.
Classic, but it's just like I just still I've been playing it for years, and it's like one of the ones that always just comes on, and that one. But it's funny how I have a lot of like unreleased stuff that I've been banging by. I have like a bunch of stuff from like Yodo, which is sick, and some other guys like that.
Sweet.
Fun.
Yeah. What's yours?
Well, mine is also Gorgon City Touch with Max Styler. I'm obsessed with that song right
Yeah.
now. It's new, just came out last week, but it is
Heater.
such a heater. It's such a weapon. It's like
It is a weapon.
We haven't
certain
listened to
songs
it.
make
Dude,
me want to be a
It
DJ.
popped up on my
Weapon.
Oh, it's so
Spotify
good.
today.
It's heavy.
They
It's heavy.
had been playing it in a lot of their sets, and so it was one of those songs that's like stuck in your head, but you don't know what it is. And then when they finally released it, like I already thought it was out because it was so buried into my brain.
Yeah.
But it's really, really good. It's a banger.
Yeah. I think mine would be Real Slim by Plight. It's like a Real Slim Shady edit. Just like classic tech house. It's a good one. Yeah. I'll send it around. Okay. Well, Benjamin, thanks for coming, man. This was fun as fuck.
Thank you guys for having me.
It
This
was
is
a
awesome.
pleasure.
I love doing this stuff. I need to be better at getting myself out there more. Besides just showing like the shows and stuff. I need this, so this is great.
Yeah,
I'll never say no to this stuff.
Fuck yeah.
Well,
you're
fun to yap.
helping us out for sure. So
I love seeing people doing creative things as well, and like I love what you guys are doing. So
Thank
you
you.
guys have always been so nice to me, and yeah.
If you listen to the podcast, the support means truly everything in the world. And the ways you can support would be by reposting, commenting, sharing with your friends, doing all the stuff.
Yeah.
You can find Ben on Instagram at what?
Benjamin Lloyd, LLOYD _.
Okay.
And you can find
Spotify, everything.
at b2b.pod.
Mm-hmm.
And again, thank you so much for listening. Ooski out.
Ooski out. Thank you.
Bro.
Cheers.
That was fun, guys.
Great work.
Very fun.
I love
man.
that. That went by so quick.
I know.